Hey guys, thanks a lot for clicking on the video. As you can tell from the thumbnail, today we're going to take a look at the 10 toughest GameCube bosses. Now before we get started guys, don't forget to leave a comment below on how you would rank these 10 characters, or if you think there was a boss that should have been added to this list. I'd love to hear from you. We're going to start off our list with the honorable mention first. Just missing the top 10, this goes to the Master Hand from Super Smash Bros. Melee. Now, Super Smash Bros. Took the world by storm, the sequel to the popular N64 title. The concept, a crossover brawler, hadn't been seen until Super Smash Bros. Introduced it to millions, and the Loch means millions, of Nintendo and fighting game fans alike. The Master Hand can be tricky to battle with, having a wide array of attacks and a high HP box. Most people have beaten the Master Hand, but not on his higher or highest difficulty levels. You need to have a really good grasp of your character's abilities and attacks and be good at blocking. The Master Hand might not be the most challenging boss on this list, but he definitely will give you a good fight every time you put this mini disc in your GameCube. Coming in at number 10, Yabu from Vex. Yabu is definitely an obscure game. Yes, it came out on the Xbox as well, but not a lot of people have played it. Some of the later stages are way more frustrating than they are fun, but there's nothing more aggravating in this already challenging game than the final fight against the final boss, Yabu, or Dark Yabu. Another boss battle that's broken into 3 parts, each one a little harder than the last. Hordes of enemies hopping at you desperately, a giant monster stomping around trying to attack you, and then of course it's going to transform into a giant spider thing. You've got to do some damage, get out of the way, recover quickly, and then get in and hit him again. You need to try and flip him over in the end, but that's easier said than done. Number 9, Mouth from Super Mario Sunshine. While Mouth won't throw nearly as many obstacles at you as other bosses will, this boss fight serves as a reminder that the difficulty doesn't always come from the enemy itself, but also from the game's design. Underwater levels in Mario games are notorious for making simple tasks much harder. Your goal is simple. You have to clean the plaque and gunk buildup off of each of Ely's disgusting teeth, but it's not going to be easy. If the air timer counting down isn't enough to panic you, then trying to control Mario's movements and the flood spraying will surely push you over the edge. Mario's underwater swimming is very slow and not easy to direct. You'll be fighting against the current and the camera, all while trying to hover just above Ely's mouth so you can clean each tooth. After a lot of fussing, Ely will be defeated, but not before forcing you to endure an encounter that is almost as enjoyable as a real visit to the dentist. Coming in at number 8 from Luigi's Mansion, Bowser, or King Boo. The supreme leader of the Boos, King Boo, Mario and Luigi's eternal ghost enemy. While most people expected Bowser to be the final boss, a lot of people were happily surprised to see that it is in fact King Boo. Boo is pretty formidable, and he is a deserving character to have a spot on this list. Hell, he even made the thumbnail. The final encounter against King Boo takes place on the spooky rooftop and is one of the low-key tougher battles on this list. Don't let the game's cartoony style fool you. The fight requires that you put everything you've learned throughout the game into practice if you want to avoid the slew of varied attacks at his disposal. You know, I was really happy to see King Boo make this list. Thanks again to everyone that voted on the community poll. And of course, the shameless plug, guys. If you like the top 10s and if you watched any of the other ones, don't forget to subscribe so that you can always be on top of all upcoming videos and participate in the polls. Number 7, Jack Krauser from Resident Evil 4.
But crows are so easy.
I went back and forth with who should be the Resident Evil 4 entry on this list. I thought about the intense fight with Verdugo, or the final fight with Lord Sadler, or even that fight with the twin giants in the lava pit was pretty epic. But in the end, I had to go with Krauser. Before the quote-unquote main fight, you'll be running all over the arena area while Krauser chases you. You're going to have to shoot at him to keep him off your back. In the final phase of this fight, Krauser isn't ridiculously difficult if you know the trick to hitting him, but the time limit does put another layer of pressure on you. Even if you manage to kill Krauser before the explosives go off, you still have to leave the area with the remaining time. I'd say you need at least about an extra 30 seconds to escape. Obviously, everyone knows the knife staggers him really quickly now, and the grenades also help drop him to his knees really fast. Still deserving to be on this list. Nobody knew the tricks how to beat him back in the 2002. Number 6, the Smokey Prague from Pikmin. One of those hidden or optional bosses, and he's also not the only one that's going to show up on this list. The Smokey Prague boasts one of the most powerful defenses in the game. It also can emit a noxious gas that can both damage you, Olimar, and your Pikmin. On top of all of that, he has no problem to push through you and your troops without any effort. Oh, did I also forget to mention that he has a huge health pool as well? If you decide to bring down this monstrous creature, you better have a really good strategy in mind and know that a lot of your beloved Pikmin are gonna die in this fight. Number 5, aren't you glad I didn't say Andros? I mean, the Aperoid Queen from Star Fox Assault. Alright guys, so sorry to fanboy out about some of these bosses, but this is another epic 3-tiered boss battle. At first, you fight this Titan-sized Aperoid Queen that rests in the middle of a chamber. She plays mind games with the whole Star Fox team, and she even impersonates different characters, including Star Fox's dead father. You'll need to shoot off all of her protection to get access to the core. When you've hit the queen enough times, the second phase of the battle begins. This takes place on the classic/typical on-rails shooter segment where the queen is, surprise surprise, in a bug form, and she's running from Fox while unleashing a series of all kinds of crazy attacks. You need to be an experienced pilot to get through this. Fly carefully. The third phase, or final fight with the Queen, who is trying to take over the Lilat system, is a fantastic and intense battle that can only make one feel really proud of their abilities once this Bug Queen has been exterminated. Number 4, Ganondorf, from The Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker. Like many of you, I'm sure, The Legend of Zelda is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. Now, for a list of toughest bosses on a Nintendo system, is it any surprise that we would see some representation of Ganon? Wind Waker Ganondorf possesses a boundless strength. He's a tank and his power level is near godlike. This is why it takes the mystical hero of time, the sacred sword, and the aid of Princess Zelda and her arrows of light to defeat him. At the time, this was the toughest Ganon battle to date, and if you were lucky enough to defeat him, you got to see a pretty shocking head stabbing as well. You know, just adding him to my list makes me want to go replay the game again. Maybe I'll take the King of Red Lions out for another spin and do some fishing. Number 3, Fire Leo from Beautiful Joe. So this is a great looking, great sounding, great side-scrolling game. Now with the niceties out of the way, the bosses are all pretty tough. But when you have to go through a 5-boss gauntlet only to have the 6th be Fire Leo, you know you have your work cut out for you. Now, if this was your first time fighting Fire Leo, you're not really sure how to hit the Fire Cat, so you're going to lose a fight or two. And when you lose, you know what that means. You have to start the level all over again, restarting the boss rush. Eventually, when you figure out how to fight him, he can still swing at you when you're in slow motion. You need cat-like reflexes to dodge him, If you can pull it off, he'll miss and get dizzy for a short time. Now is your time to attack him. Once you got that, he's real easy. Except he's not. He's still incredibly fast and tough and floods the arena with boulders and fire. Have fun. Number 2, Dark Samus, Metroid Prime 2, Echoes. Just like the ending of most first installments of a Marvel movie franchise, the first boss is an evil version of yourself. Dark Samus is almost a perfect clone of your bounty hunter. You've already had this fight a few times previously throughout the game, but this third fight is brutal. The third and final fight is a true challenge, and you'll need to bring your A game if you wish to succeed. Each fight against Dark Samus gets more complex and difficult with the addition of new attacks, movement patterns, and tricky environmental obstacles. The third and final fight in particular is extremely tough due to the presence of the toxic Phazon all over the arena. And tied for number 1, the Shadow Queen from Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door. The Thousand-Year Door is not your average Mario Bros. Game, and the Shadow Queen is a fitting final challenge before you close this book. The Shadow Queen has a varied arsenal of dangerous attacks that include slaps that pierce armor and drag you down, purple-colored lightning, a stream of darkness that applies negative status conditions, and more. If you're not careful and plan your strategy well, the Shadow Queen will make short work of you and your party. The Shadow Queen is no joke if you ask me. She ranks right up there as some of the most powerful beings in the entire Mario Bros. Franchise. And from the same game, tied for number 1, Bone Tail. So Bone Tail is statistically the hardest boss. He has 200 health points, higher defense, and can do about 8 damage per normal attack, inflicts status effects, and can only be dealt raw damage or burnt. He can also heal himself for plus 20 when he wants. This would be difficult enough, but the main cause of the difficulty here is that you have to beat him directly after the 100 trials with no save points. You're probably low on healing items, you need to have the right combination of badges equipped, and you might be physically and mentally fatigued after going through all the trials already. Bone Tail is a fantastic and challenging battle, but don't forget he is only optional. Hats off to the player that's beaten him. And that's going to do it for my list of the top 10 hardest GameCube bosses. So I mentioned it at the beginning, but again guys, I'd love to hear who do you think should have been on this list that I missed, or if you have a different order yourself. Also, let me know down in the comments, do you want to see the top 10 hardest bosses for the PlayStation 2, the Atari 2600, anything. Give me some ideas down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching guys, I appreciate it. I'll see you in about a week. Take care.